Hey guys, we're welcome here to week 3. TJ, why don't you get us started?
Getting us started. Week 3. But
Or
tomorrow
week
the season
4,
starts.
right?
Week
Yeah,
4. Well, I guess I do. Sorry we missed last week.
for
Little mishap.
preseason, but we're gonna start on week 1 this week, right?
Yeah. Week 1. NFL starting. We is it Packers Seahawks tomorrow? What is that format? Is it old Super Bowl champ versus the new Super Bowl champ? Something like that? Is that how it works? I don't even know how it works. Whatever. But in Seattle should be a good game. I know I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for joining us. We're going to kind of be doing this every Wednesday, hopefully, to get us started. So, Ricky, why don't you go ahead and hop into, are we going to do beat the projections first? Or
No, let's go ahead and start with the NFC East, and just kind of talk through some
yeah.
teams.
AFC East first, not the AFC East.
All right, let's start on the AFC East. All right, well, who would you like to start with there, Ryan? Who's your favorite player in the AFC East?
That's supposed to be some sort of leading question.
Yeah. Who would you say you were the most passionate about inside the AFC East?
I'm an anti-Dolphins fan at times. So that's always fun. Never been a Michael Vick fan of sorts. I don't really like anyone in this division.
Let's talk about Tom Brady and how good his offense is going to be inside of this division. What do you think, TJ? Do you like Tom Brady this year?
I love Tom Brady, and I think he's going to do a lot better than he's projected for. Not only this game, but all season. I might even think he's looking at a Super Bowl win this year. Just kidding. No, I really like Brady. He's always pretty much done awesome with nothing, except maybe Randy Moss. And when he did have Randy Moss, they almost went a perfect season. So, wonder why. It's because they were cheating, apparently, though. But
Always cheating.
Super Bowls are also hard to win when you don't have a defense, Ryan.
So what do you guys think about
We're not talking about the Cowboys right now, okay?
Chris, what do you think about the wide receivers on that team?
They're pretty young. I think most of their season rides on the young receivers stepping up. Dobson and Kenbrell Tompkins, if they can do. I mean, you think about it, like if Edelman gets injured, like all of a sudden Gronk is their only guy, and he hasn't proven to be very reliable. And so, I mean, I think Dobson has potential to be really good. I'm not sure about Tompkins. If they can catch passes and not, I mean, they had tons of drops last year.
I feel like Dobson's kind of like, he's always like, he could be good, right? I feel like that always happens when his name is brought up. It's like, man, he could be so good, probably someday, soon, maybe.
Well, it's just a second year. I mean.
But I mean, like, more so, I mean, and that's probably a good thing. Like, okay, he probably could be really good, but like, I feel like I hear that more about him than almost any receiver. Really, it's like.
Well, I think he showed a lot of potential in college, and anyone who's theoretically the number one receiver in New England with Tom Brady is going to be like talked about as like, oh, he could be really, really good.
What about Edelman?
They did the same thing.
Not in that conversation?
What was that?
Is Edelman not in the conversation for?
He's a slot guy, and I think he's very important to their offense. And what I was saying is that, like, I think one of the podcasts I listened to was talking about this. They said if Edelman gets hurt, Amendola is probably going to get hurt, obviously, given his track record. Like, then Dobson and Tompkins are your two main guys, and if they can't step up, then how are they going to move the ball? You know, Tom Brady can only do so much, and last year it wasn't enough just having those two guys. So
yeah.
So if Gronk stays healthy, I mean, if they can stay healthy, then I think they'll be in pretty good shape. I don't know what they're going to do about their running back situation. I think Shane Vereen's really good. So
He's not really good, is that what he said?
no, I think Shane Vereen is really good. Not a fan of Ridley. So.
Yeah, well, I don't think. I mean, Ridley's like relegated to third spot now, so.
I think that's slightly overblown. I think he'll be the second guy, but.
You think this is like Ridley's last chance this season?
Yeah, And if he gets benched again for fumbling over and over again, then then we'll keep him. So
Ryan, even though it may be against your moral code, would you take any of these players for your fantasy team?
So you have to take some of them, right? I just take one receiver on any team where a quarterback throws the ball all the time. So you just have to decide if that is. I've got Edelman on one of my teams. Gronkowski can win 10 games for you by himself. 10 of the 12 games where he's healthy, he can win games. So yes, they should be on your team. Do I want them on my team? No, but they should be on people's teams. James White would be interesting, backing up Vereen, because Vereen's going to get injured and Ridley's going to fumble the ball, so they got to have someone that maybe they can run, and maybe this rookie can do it. But you just want to take a flyer on. If you're in a deep league, and you can just pick someone up, he'd be one to look at. Cool.
Let's go to the Jets. Chris, you really like Eric Decker this year. I think TJ, you do too. Why are you so strong in this guy?
I just think he's obviously the clear-cut number one there, and that might mean that some defenses are going to key in on him. But he's really, really good in the red zone. I think Manning obviously helped out a lot, but he's going to get a lot of targets down there, and they really don't have a lot of other red zone threats. I mean, Chris Johnson's a good player, but he's never been like a really good runner inside the 20, especially at this point in his career. I think he's going to get a lot of targets in the red zone.
And Chris and I were talking about this. Manning helped a lot, but he still has to catch the ball, right? I mean, he still has to catch the ball. He still has to run his routes and get within and out defenders.
I mean, yeah, he's getting open. I think Decker's a pretty underrated player.
I agree. I think he's pretty underrated. I don't think he'll do as well as he did last year, but definitely like him a lot still.
Yeah, there's a lot less balls to go around. I mean, he's going to have a lot more targets, I think, than he did last year when he had Julius Thomas, Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, Noshawn Moreno was catching a ton of passes. And there was a stat. The two people who led the two wide receivers who led the NFL in red zone targets were Wes Welker and Eric Decker last year, both at 23. So
yeah, but you also had, we had Manning thrown to him. Brian, if you're on the defensive side of the ball for the Jets, and you see Geno Smith, Chris Johnson, and Eric Decker as pretty much the only people you really have to worry about, are you worried that you're not going to be able to cover those guys?
No, because you're really only worrying about Decker, and so you guys are high on him for the fact that, he was playing in an offense with a bunch of players last year, and now he's not playing in that same offense. Well, guess what? When you have a player like Demaryius Thomas, another player like Julius Thomas, another player like Wes Welker commanding the defense's attention, of course you're going to be open, and so you're going to have those opportunities in the red zone. When you're the only red zone target that a quarterback has, then they're going to put two guys on you in the red zone, so why is he going to get any more targets? I'd actually say he's going to have a lot harder time scoring the touchdowns inside because they're going to give that much more focus. Geno Smith is going to give some value to people from a fantasy perspective, only because he has to run and scramble a little bit. So I think he's going to have to spread the ball around way too much to other receivers to make Eric Decker anything more than a wide receiver too. So I'm not that high on him because defense is just going to key on him.
I think wide receiver two is saying that you're high on him. Most people don't have him as a wide receiver two. They have him as like a flex play.
That's what I'm saying. That's the best case scenario. I would not be comfortable on my fantasy team unless I had stud running backs if I was playing Eric Decker every week. Sure,
yeah, I mean,
a bye week filler or something like that, and maybe take a flyer on every once in a while against a really poor defense. But he's not going to be consistent. He's not going to be solid. And looking at last year and saying things like, he led the league in red zone targets, it's because they were focusing on Demaryius Thomas and Julius Thomas when they were down in the red zone, two bigger targets. Therefore, he was a little bit more wide open, and maybe just had one-on-one coverage versus two-on-one.
I think Geno Smith is going to do a lot better than people expect him to do. He had a lot of good games last year. He's a running threat, which always tends to open up things for wide receivers and running backs to a certain extent. I'm not super high on Eric Decker. I think he's being underrated, but I'm starting Emmanuel Sanders and Cordell Patterson over him in a couple leagues that I'm in. So I like Decker. I like having him as a fantasy player. I think he's underrated, but it's not like he's a must start. I'm not saying that.
So
but I think he will do well.
I think we have another confusing team with the Dolphins, though, too. You have Tannehill, Miller, Marino, Mike Wallace, Brian Hartline, and Charles Clay. those, I mean, excuse the talent. They're not terrible guys, but they're just not solid studs. Um, is there anybody here that will really kind of give us some production value? What's your thoughts, TJ?
Well, I guess I was kind of listening to some of the mainstream fantasy podcasts and stuff this season, and they said that Brian Hartline is probably the best producer on this team. But I hope Lamar Miller is that guy for them. So if you're looking to get anybody in the late round on the Dolphins, you're just looking for some flex or maybe some bye week fill-ins, I'd get Hartline or Miller here. I would stay away from Moreno though.
You just never know what Moreno's going to do. I mean, he's looked pretty good in the preseason going to a new team. It's just hard to say exactly how good he's going to do.
Yeah, it's like, will he get that no-show nickname back?
He's been.
Ryan, you any thoughts on the Dolphins? Anything you want to see?
Well, it comes down to you can always take a flyer. I don't know why people are so down on Mike Wallace and what is it? The guy from the Eagles came here, right? The QB coach came to help Tannehill.
Yeah, he's their offensive coordinator now, isn't he?
Something like that. So
yeah,
it's going to possibly help. I mean, he made
people
think like a decent quarterback, and we're all going to see what kind of a freaking nightmare he is this year. Sorry, Ricky, but I think that could help Tannehill, which means in turn that's going to help Mike Wallace. I'm didn't hear wouldn't think that Brian Hartline would be the top producer here. I just think that we can stick with Mike Wallace. He's not like extremely old. He can prove to be valuable. So if there's anyone on this team I'm banking on, it's Mike Wallace. And then I think actually Sean Moreno is going to be the guy. I think Lamar Miller is going to drop the ball again, both figuratively and literally. And so I think Moreno is going to be the running back. So those are the two people that I would look at. And then Tannehill can be your bye-week filler if you don't have two quarterbacks, sure. But I think Wallace and Miller would be the people. Wallace and Moreno would be the ones I'd look at.
All right. Okay, let's end with the Buffalo Bills. I think that their QB shuffle may continue this year after, since they still have Manuel starting.
They didn't get Fitzpatrick back?
And who did they just signed somebody, right? And
Kyle Orton.
Yeah, Kyle Orton is the backup. So
for a lot of money.
TJ or Ryan, how do you guys feel about having Kyle Orton as a backup on your team? And how did that fare for you as you went into the playoff race?
I was really happy with having Kyle Orton as a backup as a potential player to fill in for Tony Romo. And if you look at that game, we were in it till the very end. Yes, he threw that costly interception, and that's what cost it to you, but he at least kept us in the game and did a good enough job to get us there. So I think as a backup quarterback, someone to fill in for your quarterback when he's injured, they would be good. But the fact that they're possibly bringing him in to push E.J. Manuel and maybe bench E.J. Manuel to start Kyle Orton, not due to injury but due to performance, then they're not sitting in good shoes because that's not a position you want to find yourself in.
Yeah, I think it was purely for if he gets hurt. I mean, they drafted E.J. Manuel really high. I doubt they'd cut bait and just bench him for Kyle Orton due to performance. I mean, you always worry about that if he just is getting pummeled and is just sucking over and over again, if that's just going to kill his psyche and he's never going to recover from that. Like, maybe that's something to worry about. But I don't know. I was really excited to watch E.J. Manuel play this preseason. He didn't play that much, but I still think he could be a pretty good quarterback. He's got plenty of wide receiver options, a lot better than a lot of young quarterbacks have.
So you look at his E.J. Manuel, look at his last 3 games from an ESPN standard scoring perspective. He had 18 points, 1 point, and then 20 points in fantasy. So
who are they playing against in those games?
Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville.
So Tampa Bay was the one we scored a point?
1 point, yep. And then his first 3 games, he went 16, 14, 19. The rest of his games were just terrible. The Jets, he also scored 17. So it's really interesting. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 games in which he scored single digits, and then the rest of the games he's like high teens, even just 20 points. So he's really up and down. up and down quarterback. I actually think he's one of these people who's going to come out and perform really well. I also believe this last year, so I could just be proven wrong again. He just seems like one of those quarterbacks that's kind of composed a little bit better, and I think composure amongst the quarterback is something that's really solid. So he's not necessarily going to get rattled by having someone like Kyle come in and back him up.
Yeah, and if you just look at the offensive weapons that team has, I think they're pretty talented all around. Like Scott Chandler at tight end is serviceable at least, and they've got a couple good running backs and three pretty good receivers. I think Mike Williams is going to do pretty good, especially in the red zone here.
So TJ, do you think that CJ Spiller or Fred Jackson's going to be on this team 1 year, 2 years from now? Are they?
I think if Spiller doesn't take over the role as the dominant running back, that he'll be gone. But I think they're going to keep Fred Jackson around because he's kind of like their solid Reds, goal line back, get you that first down. He's always been that kind of guy. So I think Fred Jackson will stay. But if Spiller doesn't step up as like the number one back or the number one producer on that team, it's going to be hard to keep him.
So when Fred Jackson goes down and CJ Spiller's sputtering, is anyone going to go out and just come over and grab Bryce Brown? Ricky?
Sorry, what was that?
Are you going to go get Bryce Brown when Fred Jackson's injured and CJ Spiller isn't looking great?
I hope that Bryce Brown goes in. I took him in my very deep league. I think that he is very interesting and that he's been playing a backup role behind LaShawn McCoy could definitely give him some value.
Wait, what?
Bryce Brown?
What about LaShawn McCoy?
Bryce Brown was behind LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah.
That's all. Being behind a guy like that, just like a guy behind Adrian Peterson, like actually having like a shot now, right? Like it's just being able to come out. So
I gotcha.
But Fred Jackson's approaching. How old is he now? Let's see.
Like 32, I think.
Yeah. CJ Spiller is turning 28.
That seems old. I picture him a lot younger.
Yeah, I feel like, man, how long has he really been in the league, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, he's as old as we are.
He must have redshirted and been like a 4-year senior because he hasn't been in the league that long, I don't think.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it, at least. Yeah, they've been.
Maybe there's a few more years with CJ Spiller, but Fred Jackson, like how much longer could Fred Jackson last? I don't know.
That's like the same thing with Frank Gore. Like every single year, people say the exact same thing. Well, how many more years do they have? Is this going to be the year that they suck? Like it just until they stop being good. Like just it's hard to argue with it.
Yeah, so. Spiller's been in the league for 4 years. 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he'll be 28.
He
just turned 27. He was born the same year we were, so he's only 27. But still, I mean, I didn't think he was that old.
Yeah.
Some of us born in the
AFC East real quick here to move things along. So Redskins, Robert Griffin, you got ranked somewhere between 9th to 15th quarterback. Is he actually going to be able to come back?
I heard, well, not that I heard. Okay, so I guess collectively, there's just been talk on, sports talk radio and podcasts and stuff that they're trying to teach him to be a pocket passer, not a scrambler. I think that's going to be his ultimate downfall, that he's not playing comfortably. He's not playing what he's used to playing. Now, sure, some people can change, and he might change. I just think that ultimately he's going to suffer for it. And I think Kirk Cousins actually takes over the team by the end of the year, barring any injury. Because the Redskins are looking for a pocket passer. They have Deshaun Jackson now. They have Pierre Garçon. They need to take advantage of those weapons. And I think Kirk Cousins is the guy to do that.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with Robert Griffin, except for he came back, he played well, and just looking back at his start of the season last year, his first 3 games were 300-yard passing games, with 2 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns in his first 2 games. So he was performing well. And then he just kind of didn't get healthy, and you can kind of see if you look at his games, it just all continued downhill after that. Never had another 300-yard game, had a couple in the mid-twos. In his last 3 games, he threw for 118, 207, and 164 yards, and that's it. and so he really dropped off the map towards the end of the season. So if he can stay healthy, I think that he's shown that he can be a pocket passer as long as they can convince him, hey, don't run all the time, but still go out there and be mobile. He could be an effective quarterback from a fantasy perspective. And for them, I don't think they have to go to Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to get the job the whole year, and this is his last. If he falls on his face, he'll be benched, but I don't think he's going to fall on his face.
I think it has. If he can stay healthy, I think he'll do really good. I mean, the thing is with him, it seems like he was just running. If anyone ever even got close to him, he would just take off and run. And you know, when Michael Vick was at his best, like he still had some he would throw ridiculous passes. Like Michael Vick's arm was just crazy in his prime, and I think Robert Griffin can be. I think he's capable of doing similar things. I think he needs to just move around the pocket better, because it seems like he gets when he gets pressured a lot, he doesn't handle it very well. Like he can run and avoid it, but that's not always what you want to do. Sometimes you need to just take a step up into the pocket or take a few steps to the side and throw the ball downfield. And if he can, if they can teach him to do that, I mean, it's not like I don't think it's something that's unteachable to from a coaching perspective or a player's perspective. And so I think if he does stay healthy, they have good weapons around him, especially with bringing Deshaun Jackson in. I think he'll have a good season. But it's weird that they have Kirk Cousins. Like,
it's not weird that they have Kirk Cousins. And they drafted him knowing that they could have a QB competition. I think it's going to be fine. But I actually want to move over to one thing. Alfred Morris is my least favorite running back. It was drafted high and is expected to be a top performer. And I was looking at his UNS. What's that?
More than Doug Martin.
And it's just, I just have this feeling this is an entirely arbitrary and pointless irrelevant point that I'm about to make. But he doesn't wear any padding. Extra padding, doesn't use anything over his hands, he doesn't use anything over his arms, he doesn't use anything over his ribs. He just is an old school type of runner. And I think that is a cause for concern for him because he can get dinged up a little bit more, and that might have shown towards the end of last year. His last 7 games, he averaged less than 7 fantasy points a game, again, ESPN standard, with his scoring going 9, 5, 10, 3, 5, one good game with a touchdown against the Cowboys, whose defense is terrible, and 6. So you take out the terrible defense there, and he doesn't score more than 10 points in any of those games, and only scored 10 points in one with his 3 4s. So I think Alfred Morris is going to be a terrible running back this year. If anyone who drafted him is going to feel the pain immediately. I just don't think he's going to be that effective. You're going to see some Roy Halou early on, and maybe more and more as the season goes on.
So what team's next? Are we to the Cowboys yet?
No.
Let's talk about the Giants real quick. So you pay Manning.
Yeah. You mean Eli?
No, you pay Manning, and then the other side of the Manning coin, Eli. Like, has there been a quarterback that's just like fallen off so far as much as Eli has lately? I know they're trying out a new offense. They have all these issues, but
see, like the thing is, when Eli Manning last looked this bad, and I thought he was just the biggest goober and a terrible quarterback, they won the Super Bowl that year. And I know it's like completely different situations, but like if they can just, I mean, they have some decent weapons. I think Rashad Jennings is an all right running back, but I think Manning will be all right. I don't think he's going to be great. I think their defense is a bigger issue than their offense is going to be.
I don't think this team has any chance but to just finish last in this division, honestly. I mean,
I think they could beat the Redskins if RG3 gets hurt, or if the Redskins didn't play well at all last year. So I think the bottom 2 are definitely these 2 teams.
How could you not be concerned about a quarterback that threw 27 interceptions versus 18 touchdowns in a season?
Yeah.
It was a bad season?
That's a 2 to 3 touchdown to interception ratio. That's not even 3 to 2, which would still be bad the other way. It's 2 to 3. He's a terrible quarterback. He's a very interesting person because I've never loved someone and hated someone so much. I mean, I loved him in 2008 and 2011, just like I could have kissed him, right? But every other season, every other game, other than 2 games in his life, I just laughed at him and didn't want him to do well. So just very interesting. He's kind of an enigma that way for me. But I loved him for those 2 games and hated him the rest of his career, at least mocked him. And I'm very happy to see him be a complete failure and just terrible in this division because we need some terrible offenses due to the fact that our defense is terrible.
I think Eli Manning could score 5 touchdowns against the Dallas defense.
In 2 games? Sure. I'll give him 4 touchdowns.
All right, let's talk about Cowboys. Why don't you, TJ or Jake, why don't you guys take it from here? I mean, you have Romo ranked 9th to 13th best quarterback. Murray, finally a really good running back for you at 6 to 9, depending, and he doesn't really have a committee to fight for. Des Bryant, what do you guys like here?
Everything that involves the passing game. They're going to be down in every game by multiple touchdowns because their defense is horrific.
Just like last year, that Denver game where we lost like 55 to 54, that's going to be like every game this year.
Every game.
Our offense is just going to have to keep up with the other team's offense because our defense isn't going to do anybody. And I don't care who they sign. They can bring players out of retirement. They can sign Michael Sam. Ain't nobody going to help. It's going to be a team effort, and we don't got the defensive team to stop anybody. It's going to be some scary weeks for sure. Dallas is the new Jacksonville defense.
Tony Romo had 40 points against the Denver defense last year and in that game. 40 points. I think that he could average over 20 points easy due to the fact that he's just going to have to do that same thing every single week, throw the ball. I honestly think that Des Bryant gets over 20 touchdowns. I know that people are going to call me a homer, but I think that Terrence Williams, Des Bryant, and Tony Romo are all going to outperform the projections that ESPN has for them. Just because they're going to have to try and compete in games. And they still might only go 6-10, but their offense is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and their defense is going to be just horrific to watch.
Also, Jerry Jones. Let's be honest.
I hate the Cowboys.
He honestly was really trying to draft Johnny Manziel, and they took his card away from him. Oh my gosh, this is the worst run team in the league.
At least you have Tony Romo.
Who's a good fantasy and real-life quarterback. And they could throw out all the stats. Yes, he's had a couple of bad interceptions late in some critical games.
It's very similar to Brett Favre. Like looking at his touchdown interceptions over the past 5 years, he's got 140 touchdowns and 55 interceptions or something like that. Like it's not like he's obviously way better than Eli.
140 to 155.
Look, barring the actual in-game choking and playoff losses, Tony Romo is a very relevant fantasy player. And you keep getting him for 10, even less in some leagues, take it. I don't care. He's I know a lot of people hate him, but he's not like Ryan's hate for Tom Brady. Just have him on your team. You may not like him, but he's going to be getting you 20 points.
Well, he's the most touchdowns he's ever thrown is 36. He's thrown 31. Thrown 31, 28. That was Terrell Owens' year. That was 2006. So.
And Des Bryant arguably better than Terrell Owens.
That's debatable.
His prime. That's why I said arguably, which means we can debate it.
The last 3 years, he's thrown about 30 touchdowns. Pretty consistent. It was 10, 19, and 10 interceptions.
That's top 10 in the league. That's top 10 in the league.
Yeah.
How good would the Vikings be if they had Tony Romo?
2012, he threw for
I'd be happy.
100 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah.
49. Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah. And I think he's a lot like Brett Favre in the way that he just guns it. He scores a lot of touchdowns. He thrown less interceptions overall than Brett Favre, but just in clutch certain fourth quarters, he does do weird things sometimes. And so
and a lot of those times it's coming back and leading your team to victory.
Yeah, you said the stat he has a lot of comebacks in the fourth quarter or something.
Not more than Matt Ryan, but still a lot.
Yeah. So.
Or Andrew Luck. F that guy.
Yeah, I hate the Cowboys. So.
The Cowboys defense, in our week, do we have a defense on our projected players things? If we did, I'd just say that they were wrong every week and how high they think they'll score. Because they will be negative a lot.
Yeah, they've got to be thought of as the last defense in the league, aren't they, right now? I think Ricky's phone's dying or something.
Yeah. Well, we can just keep talking about the Cowboys till he comes back on because we don't necessarily want to talk about his team without him. Terrence Williams is a good number 2 receiver on a team. Definitely a flex player a lot throughout the year. I think he's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, we can hear you. You're echoing a little bit, though. You're like in the call twice.
I think I'm trying to get him back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Ricky, why don't you talk about the Eagles?
All my Eagles. Well, I'm very excited because we're going to be winning the division. There's
No one's winning this division. It's going to be crap.
no. We definitely have a shot.
Sure. Win the division
maybe
and then
make it
represent
past
the
one
NFC
playoff
East
game
losing.
this year because we all know the Eagles
You're
will
going to
crash.
not lose the division. That might be it. That's really what it is. This division's crap. You're not going to lose it. How about that?
It's yours to lose, is what you should be saying.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, like, I don't hate the Eagles. I hate the Redskins and I hate the Giants. But I'm excited to see Chip Kelly's offense and what they can actually do with it. So I'm hoping for Dallas to win, but also I think Philly's looking pretty good. So I don't know that the defense actually haven't been following anything on there, but
Yeah, we've made some moves.
I still think a little bit that Foles is a little overrated. I think he caught lightning in a bottle last year, but
He got pretty lucky with his interceptions.
I think he'll not be average. I think he'll be slightly above average, but I think McCoy is definitely going to carry this team for sure. I'm going out on a limb and saying that.
Just going out on a limb. So I was looking up ADPs for running backs today. After pretty much all the drafts have now, most part have happened since the first game's tomorrow. LeSean McCoy is now like 1 or 2 average draft position, which I thought was pretty interesting. That's non-PPR, and then in PPR he's like the clear winner, which obviously I'm very happy about from a homer pick. But I think that this is if he finishes first, this will be his year that he finishes first for sure. So
I love LeSean McCoy, but I don't know how anyone would take anyone besides AP number 1.
they've been doing it.
This is completely non-homer but
All right, well, let's. I think that's a good breakdown. Let's talk fantasy a little bit more, though. Let's talk our beat the projection. So this game is basically something we put together last year. We kind of go every week. We choose a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver at each, and based on ESPN standard projections, and we try to choose a player that is going to do better than what ESPN is projecting. So, Chris, why don't you start us out? Who did you choose for quarterback and running back and wide receiver, and why? Why do you think that they're going to outperform this week?
So Tom Brady, quarterback's really hard because early in the season, no one's really ready to stand out. Like last year, I rode Mike Glennon for 4 weeks because they kept under projecting him and he just kept performing. First week of the season, it's kind of tough. I think 12 points for Brady is pretty low, really. Especially Miami was 18th overall against the pass last year, 30 versus the rush, and so teams are different. It's hard to gauge defenses, but I think especially if Gronk plays, that Brady's going to have, at least 3 touchdowns, hopefully 300 yards. That would put him in a pretty good position as far as this goes. Pierre Thomas I like a lot, just a lot more than most people, just because he catches passes and gets a lot of yards receiving as well. It should be interesting now that Sproles is gone because I think there's a lot of receptions out of the backfield up for grabs, and I don't think Mark Ingram's going to have a lot of those. So I like Pierre Thomas for that reason. Kendall Wright, I just like Ken Wisenhunt does a really good job with wide receivers historically. and so I think Kendall Wright's going to have a pretty big year, and only 5 points. I feel pretty safe that he's going to have at least 5 probably. If he catches a touchdown, he could have 13, 14 points. So
how many was Pierre Thomas projected for? You said
5. So 5. I mean, that's he gets 10 carries, averages 5 yards a carry, he covers it there, and then he catches 6 passes maybe. I mean, he caught 77 passes last year, and that was with Sproles. So I could see him catching that. Some people have said that he's going to break the running back record for pass receptions in a season this year. So I don't know if I'd go that far, but I think he's good. I think he's going to do really good.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Ryan, you had a similar pick at running back. You also like Pierre Thomas this week?
Yeah, I think Pierre Thomas, as he was saying, he's going to catch a lot of balls. He's going to get He's going to get some rushing yards. He's going to get some receiving yards. He'll probably get 1 touchdown in this game. So that 1 touchdown puts him over his projection. And then any yards he gets him on top of that. So 100 total yards and a touchdown gets him 16 points, which is 11 on his projection. So I don't know why he's projected so low. I really don't. Especially with Mark Ingram being like 11 points or something like that, which is kind of stupid. Matt Ryan I like because I have a soul and I value it. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a quarterback that's not going to steal it. But 11 points for him, that seems pretty low to me. 3 touchdowns and 250 yards is definitely not out of the realm of possibility for Matt Ryan in any given game, which is going to get you, 10 points plus another 8, so there's 18. I don't know why Matt Ryan's so low. And Terrence Williams, we've talked about, the Cowboys are going to just have to throw the ball a lot. I think we get 3 or 4 touchdowns from Romo this week against a banged-up and terrible 49ers defense that just doesn't know what's going on. It's going to be an extremely high-scoring game. Get Williams a touchdown and 80 yards, and there's just 14 points. So I think I'm going to do pretty well this week with these 3 fine gentlemen.
I think the Saints allowed us were really, really good against the pass last season, so that may factor into the projections somehow with Matt Ryan, but I think Matt Ryan's a really good choice. So,
like I said, 2 touchdowns and 250 yards against the Saints, who are going to be scoring points for a quarterback that's pretty decent. Yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Let's see what I chose here. I definitely I like Alex Smith.
You took 2 risks, is what you did.
I took a little bit of risk.
Reggie Bush? Yeah.
Alex Smith, 13 points projected. I think that this is his hey, thanks for the money. I'm going to go out and show you I deserve it kind of game. So I think for the same reason you just said, Matt Ryan, I don't think that there's any reason why Alex Smith couldn't also perform a little bit higher than he's projected, except for maybe he just has less targets to hit. So, but I think that he's kind of poised to kind of go above these projections. I really like Reggie Bush in the against the Giants defense. They have him. Some of these running backs they had really high, and he was only at 13. So I thought, hey, I'm going to get a couple points out of Reggie Bush this week. And then my wide receiver this week is Randall Cobb, which is pretty much a homer pick for me because he's on one of my more interesting fantasy teams, and I really want to start him against Seattle defense, even though I know
you paid a lot of money to keep him. Just play him.
It's just going to be hard. But he's projected at 5. I just have to believe. So this is all in faith. This is me just putting it down and just hoping that he goes out and just kills it. So.
Yeah, well, I was planning a while ago to pick Emmanuel Sanders week 1 in this, and then Wilker got injured, and Sanders had a huge preseason game, and now he's projected 15 points or something. So that didn't work.
TJ, you got Brady too. So do you have similar thoughts there?
Yeah, I just think Brady's with Gronk. Gronk's good to go week 1. I think it's worth not really a risk, but I guess I think it's worth.
Now the coach did say that Gronk was not technically cleared by the.
And Bill Belichick has never been at all.
Right.
Tom
Brady was listed as questionable for 8 years in a row.
I understand. I'm just saying that,
But no, I think 12 points. I mean, that's That's like a touchdown and 200 yards.
When
Like,
he goes out on the first play of the game for the season, I'm gonna laugh
okay.
at both of you.
This isn't 2009, all right? Yeah, so I'm feeling the same on Tom Brady. I also like Pierre Thomas, but not to pick him with everybody else. So I went with McFadden. I mean, 3 points. McFadden has potential to be a beast still. So, but I mean, Oakland's terrible. But hey, it's a gamble. I think 3 points is pretty low for him. And I definitely think Hakeem Nicks is going to catch a few passes in Indy. So I think 4 points for him is pretty low. I don't know if he'll get any touchdowns, but I think he'll catch a few grabs over the middle, and he'll produce maybe 6 or 7.
All right. So basically, guys, that means we have Alex Smith, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Reggie Bush, McFadden, Pierre Thomas, Randall Cobb, Hakeem Nicks, Kendall Wright, and Terrence Williams. So those are our kind of players we expect to beat the projections. And if you followed it all like last week, half of us will be very right. The other half of us will be very negative.
Ryan will be very wrong.
Very wrong.
Most of us will break even or be good.
All right, let's talk. So obviously week 1 starts tomorrow night. I've chosen 6 games that I thought were interesting. That kind of included interesting teams, interesting matchups, and maybe some interesting lines. Obviously, you have to include the first game of the year, Green Bay versus Seattle, playing at Seattle. The line is -6 for Seattle at home, and then a total of 47. This is going to be a tough game. I think this is a hard one to call either way. Anyone have any specific thoughts, or like they really believe that Seahawks are going to win, or vice versa?
I think Seahawks are going to win. I think the Seahawks offense is more. This is going to sound dumb. The Seahawks offense is more better than the Green Bay offense against the Seattle defense. Like, I think that the Seattle defense is ridiculously good, and they're going to at least hold back the Packers offense, even though they're going to score. They're going to hold them back a little bit, and I think that the Seahawks offense is going to do work, especially on the ground. They rushed the ball like crazy last season. I don't see why that would change. Percy Harvin's going to be back for this game. I think the Seahawks win. It was -6, you said?
With Percy Harvin, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
by more than he was really good.
goals. So.
Look, there's one thing and one thing only that should determine this game, and that's karma. And the Green Bay Packers deserve this game. The immaculate reception, whatever they call it, the Fail Mary, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Like, that's just ridiculous. I remember watching that play. I remember watching that game and just going, what the F? How do you call that a touchdown? Green Bay deserves this game for that game alone.
Can't argue that.
I think Russell Wilson's going to go crazy. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the #1 quarterback in fantasy overall this year, and this is a good stepping stone for him to, show up against what is a fantastic defense. But karma alone gives Green Bay this game.
Historically, the #1 defense from the previous year has not been the #1 defense the next year. So,
yeah. I also looking at this line, 47 points, -6. I think if you like Green Bay, which I really want to like Green Bay,
parlay it with the win, yeah.
Yeah, you just got to take the win. You got to take the money line. That's gonna be some good line for you. And I'd probably say over in the win, right?
I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna parlay those two together. I'm gonna take over in the win.
So,
what's the odds on that?
What was that? I don't know what the odds are on the money line. I forgot to look that one up. All right, next game, New Orleans at Atlanta. A good NFC bout. TJ, what do you feel about this game? The line is -3 for New Orleans. They're on the road, and the total is 51.5.
You asked me if I think that the Saints will win. I think the Saints will win. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm bad with point spreads and stuff, but
do you think they'll
I
win
think
by
it's
more?
hype. Sean Payton hype, Jimmy Graham hype, Drew, with Breeze up in there. It's gonna be a show. I think Matt Ryan is overrated, and I think Saints will win at 21-14. I don't know.
Sounds great, except for that'd be really low on the point scoring. So you're saying the under, and yes, take the Saints.
Under, take the Saints.
All right.
I want you to keep track of that, Ricky, and see if I would have made money, because I don't know.
Anybody else have any thoughts on this game? I mean, I think this would be obviously the line's high for a reason, 51.5. They have some high-scoring offenses. Or is there any defenses here that we should even maybe? Is it whoever's on defense going to win this? Is the Saints defense better than Atlanta?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, they should win, right?
I think they're better by far, and I think their offense is slightly better. The only difference is that Atlanta's at home, and that Matt Ryan plays really well in Atlanta. So that's the only thing that's slightly interesting. The Saints were number 2 in the league last year covering the pass. So, and the Falcons were like 30th or something.
Yeah.
They were 30th. Falcons were 31st against the rush and 21st against the pass last year. And so, obviously, it does change, but I don't think it changes that drastically. I think the Saints will win.
All right. I also chose Jacksonville versus Philadelphia, playing at home in Philadelphia.
That's a terrible game.
No, just hear me out for a second, okay? The line is 10.5, so this is the highest line for all week. It's 10.5 in favor of the Eagles at home. 10.5 points. That's a lot, okay? And I think that's doable. But the real line in question was the 52.5 total points. So just to do a math here.
Math.
Some math. Like if they only expect them to win by 10.5 points, and they expect them to get around 52 points, the game is somewhere around like 31-21. Does that even make sense? Like, do we really think Jacksonville can come out and score 3 touchdowns?
You don't think 42-17 makes sense in this game?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if the line's 10.5, you know what I mean? Like, then they're only expecting. Why isn't this not a 13-point game? Why is this not a 14-point game?
Eagles were last against the pass last year. They're pretty terrible defense. But Jacksonville is probably the worst at passing last year. I'm just guessing, but they're probably bottom 10 or 12. So I don't know. That is interesting when you put both of those two together. It doesn't seem to match up. I don't see Jacksonville scoring that much,
and their starting quarterback is. Oh wait. Yeah, and it's not
Blake Bortles.
Who? Yeah. What was interesting was I was listening to podcasts about that team is that it actually is probably in their favor to start Henne for the first couple of games because they have some terrible matchups, and they don't want Bortles to go in and lose like 3 of his first games, and so they're gonna let Henne go in and just get decimated, and then put him in for like a winnable game afterwards. So
I don't see a winnable game in their first.
Okay.
Till Cleveland week 7.
The noteworthy story from this game for me is Cecil Shorts is projected for like 20 points. What? Why?
Because Eagles were 32nd against the pass. Maybe they must just go off of last year's projection, last year's numbers.
Yeah, okay. I'm interested in this game now. I want to see how many points McCoy can score and how many points Cecil Shorts is going to score.
I wonder if we could do a new part in our projection. We could pick under players, and the more points they score under their projection, you get that many points.
Because right now, Cecil Shorts is my WR1 probably.
On that fact alone, just on projections. Yeah.
Go projections.
No,
you're against me this week. Yes.
Like you need any help.
All right, San Francisco at Dallas. This is another high line, 51.5 total points, and San Francisco is favored by 4.5.
I'd take the Cowboys not to win, but to keep within 3, and I'd take the over.
I'll also take the over on that. But don't pick the Cowboys to win.
Yeah, I think the over is interesting. They both are. 49ers defense is going to be pretty shaky with everything they've lost through, legal stuff and Aldon Smith's gone. But I could see this game. Like everyone thinks it's going to be a super high scoring game, and every time week one there's just a game where you're like that was the score. I see this being like a 10-14 game.
Wow.
I just every year there's one game like that, and I can see that happening.
How could Dallas stop anyone from scoring less than 23 points for one? And for two, how do you think that defense is going to stop a whole Dallas offense? It's 51 is an extremely low for this game. That defense is terrible on the defense side. And the defense is not good for the 49ers, and that Cowboys offense is spectacular. I just don't see how you think.
Spectacular. I don't think it's a top 10 offense.
You don't think they're a top 10 offense?
I bet I could pick 10 offenses that I would like more than them.
So you want the Cowboys are a top 10 offense this year? Because I will take that bet.
Let's see, what were they last year? We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it next week.
All right, I like this next game. Indianapolis at Denver. This is the highest line of the week, 55.5 points. And Denver is favored by 7.5. That's a lot of touchdowns. That's gonna be a fun game to watch.
Well, when Manning did it by himself in the first game last year, why not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting to see like if there's any negative effects of not having Welker there. Like they have enough weapons.
What's gonna happen if the Colts blow out the Broncos?
We don't need to talk about it because it's not going to happen.
I mean, it could. I mean, we didn't even talk about it for the Super Bowl, but they got blown out anyway. I mean, it could happen, right? I mean,
are you comparing the Colts to the Seattle defense?
Yeah.
That's silly.
I'm not. I'm just saying,
it's not.
There's going to be, a time continuum break, and, Denver's not the best team ever, OMG. It's going to...
the team's still tilted from Seattle, destroying them.
They're not that team still.
They've looked really good in the preseason.
What's the line, Ricky? Sorry, I missed that.
55.5 and -7.5 for Denver.
I take the Colts there. Andrew Luck is the fourth quarter comeback kid. He'll keep the game within a touchdown by the end. So, yeah, I take the Colts, but I take the over.
I don't know that I take the Colts. I think that Denver defense did a lot to improve this offseason.
So you think that Denver's going to win?
There's also some guys on that Denver D who are like, it's my time to get a ring or get off the pot kind of thing. So they're going to be playing their hearts out.
But do you think Denver's really going to win by more than a touchdown? I mean, that's against the Colts.
Yeah, I think they'll win by 10, 14 points.
If there's any team that has the potential to blow out anybody, it's going to be the Broncos.
Sure. But if you are looking at this from a gambling perspective, I would take the Colts in the over or the Broncos in the under. That's I would parlay both of them, and that way you can kind of hedge your bets a little bit, right?
If you're going to take the over, you got to
talking some gambling shit. I don't understand. I'm sorry.
If you're going to take the over, you can absolutely take the take the Colts to be within 7 and take the over.
No.
35-28.
I don't think so.
That makes you wrong.
All right. We'll see. So your bet is...
got 2 bets. Let's see if I'm wrong on what.
Your bets are Colts and over, right?
Colts and over, Broncos and under.
Broncos and under. Yeah. All right, and then I am Colts and under, or Broncos and over. So we're exact opposite.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll see which one wins there.
Are you both betting opposite things? So how are you going to decide who wins when it's over?
Well, there's only one way that could actually happen now. If it was we're just betting the different ways, and we'd see who would make more money.
There's 4 ways.
Money, but I'm just
only
saying
4 ways
in Vegas, I'm going to make money. Money's on my side.
Yeah. There's only 4 ways this game can go, and we've named the 4. So, right? Yeah. All right, and last game, Monday night. San Diego versus Arizona. I didn't want to. I didn't want to leave a podcast with a chance of hearing about Carson Palmer.
Yeah, believe in Carson Palmer.
So, but Arizona at home.
Hey, how did the Cardinals do last year, huh? 10-6.
Actually ended really good.
Yeah. I mean, they have some good defense. San Diego's coming into town. They got some good run game in Arizona, but San Diego's also looking good. They've always kind of just been there. This is a hard game for me. I was just curious, what were your guys' thoughts on San Diego versus Arizona to win? I mean, it's 3 points in favor of Arizona, so in my mind, it's just which side are you choosing at this point?
The Cardinals.
It's a coin flip, but the Cardinals' defense is really pretty good. I mean, they lost. I just forgot what his name was. Donnell Dockett, their lineman, is out for the season. So that's a little bit of a loss. But I mean, where they really shine is their secondary. Patrick Patterson's just ridiculous. I think they can contain. They'll be at home. I hate Carson Palmer. He'll probably throw 3 interceptions, but they'll still win.
TJ, what do you think?
I don't know. The Cardinals.
It's a hard game to pick. I think it's pretty even, honestly.
Yeah, that's why I figured that one was a good one to kind of end on there. All right, let's.
Carson Palmer throws for 3 touchdowns.
Oh my God, we almost made it. I want to just get past it.
All right, last question. I heard this on Dave Damashek's football podcast, I think last week. If all of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL, got into a full-out brawl. Okay, we're talking like anchorman brawl, like everyone's going at it, someone's gonna die, kind of thing. Who wins the all-out brawl fight between all the starting quarterbacks in the league?
Well, Roethlisberger is probably the meanest. I don't know. Whoever's got Rivers.
Dude, Rivers is angry, man.
Rivers has got some rage, but I feel like Cutler's kind of got like a hidden dark side a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like you could just trip him and he'd be done for the count. I feel like I'd take Cam Newton. I think.
Who? He's a big guy.
I would take Rivers.
Russell Wilson would be interesting too. He's so stocky. Russell Wilson would scare me.
What about Blake Bortles? He's a lot like Steelers.
Can we pick someone from a few years ago?
Big Ben's got old man strength now, right? So
give me Rivers with 2 beers. A golf club.
This isn't even a competition. The soul-sucking cheater wins this one because he brings
my God.
he brings a gun to a knife fight. He's that kind of guy, and that's the way he's going to do it.
He brings a trident.
If anybody goes in, I think Brady goes in, and he's acting all tough. One punch gets thrown, and then he's like, whoa, guys, are we sure we want to do this?
That escalated really fast.
And as a closing remark, it's if the match is let's say it's 3 minutes, and there's I tell you what, no one's beating Tony Romo except for the last 15 seconds. Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
We win the division this year because we're outscoring other teams 45-40 every game. So rub it in.
Such a homer.
Good chance. Good luck on that. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Enjoy the week. Good luck on your fantasy teams.
Football!
I hate Wes Welker.
Don't start Carson Palmer.
I hate him.
I believe in Carson Palmer.
Jamal Charles shit list has grown. One more player.
All right, see you guys.